Hey guys, it's the Ups and Downs podcast. We are going to talk about everything raw, ups and downs. Hey Kiko, Kiko's also raw. I'm raw, and we're going to talk today about the doing raw during holidays. But hey Kiko,
Hi, Sky, and hi, everyone. I'm so happy. Oh, second, I got another.
you're so happy it broke.
Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm really happy. And, I don't take every time, I think every time we do this is so magical. And, I take every day, every second like a miracle. And I'm really so happy to be connected with you, Sky. And I just feel so much love towards you. And yeah, thank you so
Oh,
much.
I do as well. Like it's such a huge part of my life now, connecting with everybody online, and I'm very close with you, and it's amazing. It's I love, and we were just talking about how I like to see the positivity in things, and there is a huge positive aspect to social media. Like as I said last week, I felt when I was, I had to stop social media as I got my health back, and I was really lost without my friends. And that's not just jumping on here, but that's even in chat. It's commenting and getting in conversation. So there is like this really beautiful aspect that we can connect like this and with everybody watching.
Yes, yeah, our audience are fantastic, and I'm really grateful. Hi, JJ.
Hey, JJ. So
You,
the
yeah,
topic today is how to do raw during the holidays.
yeah. I think you have so much to share because you're very close to family, right? For me, my family member was not respecting. How do I say? I basically cut my family line uh, because they were not respecting me in general, not just the diet. And whenever we have a family gathering, they don't understand, you know, my decision. So I used to yeah, I used to go for family gathering, and that's always you know revolved around the food. But because I ended up stretching too much of myself, that I decided I would not participate in any event that, if they decided to go to a restaurant, or if they decided to cook something that I'm not comfortable with, I just decided not to participate. So I think it depends on your family situation. That's my decision. There was a time that I was very close to my family member, but this year my father passed away. My mother passed away about 8 years ago. So, like, a family dynamic has changed. When my mother was around, I put a lot more effort to be with my family because my mom did so much for our family. So, I put more effort. But, again, I would like to share as much as possible, if it resonate to people. But, like Sky, you are very close to your family, right? So
Mm.
your situation can be completely different, and you navigate in completely different way. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'd like to talk more on yours because I feel a lot of people are in maybe not as a dramatic situation, but very similar where they would well, in fact, it's almost like a self-harming situation, right? Where you've actually gone, this is, I go to this family event to do the right thing, but it's harming me more than if I decided to cut this person off completely. And I mean,
Mm,
maybe everyone doesn't have to get to the cutting off, but what I had to do, so when I was disconnected from my family when I healed, but because they saw such a dramatic change, like as in like it's a girl in bed sick who couldn't even walk up the stairs for many Christmases to be there is like able to enjoy all family gatherings. So they embrace me and the lifestyle, and it's probably never questioned because I'm always so well. from it. You know, I think if you are going through a stage where it's, you know, you're still finding your feet or you don't have confidence in it, it can show in the family. But or with you is, you know, you were probably already functioning and the people didn't know how sick you were and the difference that it's made in your life. That's, you know, something, whereas mine was everyone was kind of carrying me around and now they're not, is probably why. So I believe more people are in your situation.
Yeah. So just to give you an example, right? That I'm a social person, and I sort of need the connection, like human connection. So I have been on Rob journey for over 21 years, and during this 21 years, I have stretched a lot, a lot. So what I used to do was, I go on a smoothie fast or juice fast for weeks after weeks, and I will go to a restaurant, like a restaurant where I can find a plant-based food, and then, surely enough, I would have a reaction. Maybe not right away, but it could appear like a week after, and it would last me 1 month, minimum 1 month of
Wow.
them. So I've shared in the last podcast with Sky. When I was doing a tour guide travel and then traveling with my clients, I have gone out to eat some cooked food, vegan, in a vegan restaurant, but cooked food version. And I was very careful, right? Like just one meal, one or two meals in 1 week, and it's like a very clean plant based. But because I'm very sensitive to it, I have gone through a hell after. Oh my God. I am still going through it, and I'm much better, but my skin is usually the first place to have reaction. But basically my skin got in like pimples, and the whole area, like this whole area, if you look at the last week's podcast, you might be able to see how my skin condition got really, really dry. And basically, I felt like I was on fire. And like,
Oh.
you know how it feels like, and I don't know if you feel it's a bit red here. So it's much better, but I have to be very careful for 1 month, after one meal of that eating out.
Mm.
And I do this over and over because I didn't have any raw vegan friends, until this year. So I felt, lonely, and I wanted to connect with people. So I would just go to a restaurant, and every time I have a hope that this time it should be okay, you know?
We do
And
that, right?
yeah, and yeah, I mean, I don't regret. I learned my lesson, but it's just not worth it. And I also, another symptom I had was I had a cyst, like pus in the gum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this was one. It's like a common symptom that comes back. So like eczema, like extremely dry skin, extremely um, like irritable skin. That's one symptom that I get. And also in my gum, I would get the pus, like a cyst pus. And I had it like 20 to 23 years ago. And when I went to see the dentist, they said that they have to do biopsy and, all that scary procedure. And I've learned that if as long as I stay on a clean raw vegan diet, it just goes away on its own. And I had it like 3 weeks ago on my gum here,
Mm.
and started it just started to go up, and yesterday the pus went out. It just was,
Oh.
oh my God, it was gross. But I knew, I knew as long as I stay on this clean diet, and it takes time. Again, for me, it's usually 1 month on. either on the smoothie or juice cleanse, and
Mm.
then 1 month it would be on the stable state. So I know what I have to go through on one meal out with social gathering, and I don't think anyone wants me to go through, and anyone who loves me and cares about me wants
Yeah.
to go through that. So sometimes I would have to share that story for them to understand, because it's very difficult to understand, people who can go out on a, eat on a McDonald's meals and they're completely fine, at least on the superficial, they don't have any reaction right away. So they might
Mm.
not understand what I'm going through. So I might share that story.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a valid point is yes, just say you go out for Christmas and you're new to this and you eat bad and then you get arthritis symptoms back or you get migraine symptoms back. Hopefully you learn, right? Just say then you go out again and you get the same symptoms. You
Mhm.
have to get to a point where on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving or leading up to the holidays, you look at that meal and say, if I eat that, it equals arthritis. If I eat that, it equals an ulcer or a pustule in my mouth. And I think that is so important because it's your journey and you have to know why you're staying raw. And yes, each person can explain it differently, but the learning is a good thing. Don't beat yourself up when you eat something and you get a symptom and you're like, I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, well, you've learned. You can't go back now. And you have to get to a point where, and that's why I do what I do, right? Is in the moment the food can become and the social situation can become so tempting because it seems familiar. I've done like 40 Christmases, well, many of them in bed, but many Christmases where it's familiar to open presents, have, hot chocolate, have all these foods which don't serve me, and it makes you connect to people. But is it worth experiencing that? Because remember, by the nighttime, everyone will be going home, everyone will feel stuffed. Is it worth those 4 hours or even that mouthful of food to have your arthritis back or to have your migraine back? And it's not about getting angry at the world for making these foods. It's about your journey and you taking responsibility that, Bob next to you is not going to get the migraine. It's his journey. He can eat it in front of you. That's fine. I think and I think it's really important, and that's what I had to learn to do. One of the key moments of choosing a raw diet was me going, Sky, out of all the times you've been cut open, all the times you've laid there screaming, all the medications coming on, getting constipated and sick from medications, ending up back in hospital, coming off medications, could it possibly be ever that eating only fresh food and feeling sometimes, that this is not fair, is that feeling not fair even comparable to the suffering you've been through? Like and in all my cloudiness, my FND, my psychiatric, my dissociation, that was very apparent that I was suffering then. Is like feeling uncomfortable around in a social situation or eating foods different or not having a stimulating taste were like it has never, me being raw has never reached the uncomfortableness of my suffering. And I do think that's a telltale sign when people switch over to raw, is where their life they just don't want to feel that suffering anymore. So that is what you have to hold on to, I think, first and foremost. But I think you bring up a valid question before I get into how I do raw and how it works for me, is at what point is it so hard to be around people where it is okay? Like I always say, it's this variation of when am I suffering so much in a situation that it's not possible for me to show up. And the only example I have of this was when I first reconnected with family and I was raw, is I would only stay at events for a couple of hours and then leave. Though, mind you, most events people drink and don't remember anyway, but that's how that worked for me. And, is it painful or uncomfortable to stand up in front of everyone saying, I'm leaving? Yeah, it is, but it was more painful to stay. And that was and I'm much better now. And even if I come and go, people are used to it. But what was your sign where you were like, I have to cut these family members off completely? Like it's not going to work.
I was a little too generous, and I believed in family tie. And so last year, I've shared quite a few times, I almost died, right? Because I
Mm.
believed in this pure diet would cure. Because I had, I stayed mostly on raw and high raw for over 21 years. But as I mentioned, I would stretch to be with someone, to be able to connect. And I thought that I could only do it if I stretch myself eating the same kind of food they would eat, right? So I've done that. And then last year, I've done for last 2 3 years, like I've been going through like a water fast and juice fast, and trying to see if I can cure everything I have with pure diet, right? And then I didn't want to take any kind of medicine. And then I ended up bleeding so much. I have adenomyosis. So like uterus wall is very thick, that caused me to have a very heavy period. And then I ended up losing so much last year that I almost died. And I was in the emergency room, and there was like a family fiasco going. It was, I'm not going to go into it, but my father and well, not going to name, there were some family members who were calling me to harass me for certain things, that I said, listen, I'm in emergency room. I'm not at home. And they wanted to get something from me, uh, that and they just didn't bother. It's like, well, Kiko's not at home, so we can't harass her. So um, we're gonna deal with it when she comes out of ER. I'm thinking like, I, she's about, she could die, and the doctor was like, you have to stay at least a week in the hospital. And I was just really shocked. And my husband was like really shocked that, yeah, you need to cut this line because it's just toxic. And, when you keep on giving and giving, then they might not realize. And I don't blame my family member, and I am not bitter about them. I share
Yeah.
this story to say how much I have, stretched myself, right, from my family member. And they were, they had their own, you know, a drama going on in their life, right? And they don't understand where I am. And you have to stand up. You don't have to fight. Like what I did was I chose not to fight, but I just chose uh, to say, I'm, I'm not gonna, stretch myself. I'm not gonna participate. I'm happy to not be part of this, I don't know, toxic relationship. Yeah.
I guess
I,
it's
yeah.
identifying that, right? It can, like, people could be showing up into toxic situations and spending a lot of their life dwelling on how they can make it better. But what if the reality is there is no better? What life wants you to do is realize that that has just become so toxic. For now, I always say, for now, you
Mm,
need to cut it off. We don't know what the future holds. Like, and there's like, and it's when we realize, I think, that it isn't so much even about the other person, it's
mm,
about you, and it's okay to be about you. We live in
mm,
this society where we think we've got to please, like, we've learned, especially, I think, I'm not a mother, but I see mothers and they would be very wrapped up in that they have to keep giving. And I think when you have young children, I think that's very different. But how much time you give to things which become toxic,
mm.
is you have to, it's like life is the greatest teacher. It's life
Yeah.
saying that for this time, this is too much. Like, you showing up to this event is going to cause you so much pain. There is less pain if you stop. And
Mm,
it's not even about the other person. It's about you. Like, what is going to be best for you? Um,
mm.
and so, has this been a good decision for you? I mean,
Yeah.
can I just
Yeah.
say also, to be in this day and age, to have to stay in hospital for a week is a long period of time.
Yeah.
In this day and age, like most, I only know because I was very sick and I would have to stay longer periods, but most people are in and out in less than 24 hours in emergencies. Like they do not want people in hospital. So you were really sick, which I
Yeah.
already know, but like, how did they not know that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like staying in a hospital. I mean, they don't have any raw vegan foods, of course. So I just demanded to leave within a day. So I did stay one night. I brought
Sure.
my husband brought like water, like some fruits, so that I can be hydrated. And then I demanded to leave right away. And I had to sign all the forms that, they're not responsible if I die, but yeah, it was in a very critical condition. But because I, even when I'm sick, right, I tend to have a lot of energy and I tend to be able to speak. And so that hemoglobin went like 2 to 3, right, 20 to 30 in terms, right?
Yeah.
Usually people would pass out.
Yeah.
Like I am very strong for some reason that, in an extreme pain or extreme condition, somehow my body still functions, which is probably not a good idea because usually, I should pass out so that my body can focus on, what needs to be focused on in my body. But my body just functions in a different way. So even if I'm really sick, people don't see it. I can still talk. I can still make, rather logical decision. So
Mm.
people don't get it. So again, it was an amazing, fantastic. It was a great decision for me to sort of cut the family line. We are still going through some things that I need to communicate with my family, but I would never, not I don't contact them on, you know, from my side. We're just dealing with my father's passing, so just some paperwork. But other than that, like we never had any, good connection. Like they never understood me or they never tried to understand me. But it was a great decision because I'm not resentful now because I'm not constantly dealing with their drama. So I have my base that if I, for, some paperwork that I have to go through, I'm much more grounded. I'm not angry towards them, right? So,
Yeah. I think also when you first go raw, you you have no buffers. Your body has not learnt to naturally protect you from, I would say, emotional pain. You feel everything. Like you just, and you can vent and you can, it's explosive. I believe the first year, like the first 10 months of being raw is like this. And I feel like it stays for about 2 years where you haven't learnt to process without things like, well, medications, stimulating food, things like coffee, excessive amounts of caffeine, even salt to stimulate, like all these things which were regulating you and you didn't know you were doing. So you get these emotions and you'd have behaviors which would like compensate. So you're basically numb. So so when you're 20 years in and you start making these decisions, you'd be much more sure and confident of
mm,
yourself. Um,
mm,
but that, like, to me, that's even more what people newer are going to probably be watching this, who are newer to raw and want to know how you do things. And my greatest suggestion is like what I did is that but I had been away from society for a long period of time. I could not cope being in these situations for very long, which wasn't too hard in my social situations. And a lot of people are in similar situations to me. A lot of people who find raw have been very sick. So then it might be a bit better and now able to attend a family event.
mm,
Um, if you decide to go, I would, even if you're new to this, make it known that it's okay to walk outside and take a break. It's
mm,
very, like, you are very around like all your old habits. So
mm,
if that's too much, like, you can walk away. I find at social events, it's still a celebratory time of the year. So I don't think it's that bad to eat like in a celebratory way. So how I eat on my birthday, our raw parties, not even so much on the raw parties, but like Christmas or Easter or something is I want to make raw treats. I want to make more like gourmet raw. And that is like a celebratory thing. It also helps me stay raw. It's also mindful that I'm living. And this is very different from like the cleansing phase where I've been in, where you're really pulling back and you're doing more fruit and juices. Is
Mm-hmm.
what is your reality going to look like for the rest of your life? Are you just going to juice through Christmas Day for the next 30, 40 years? That's not reality. Like the reality is you want to make it a new way. And that's exciting, right? And
Yeah.
like that is exciting. And Christmas for me, it's for example, is very unique because we are in summer. So
Mm-hmm.
growing up, I know like a lot of people were children growing up in winter and snowing and things, and they were indoors. So a huge part of it was probably their, what is it called? Eggnog and their chocolatey treats and their dense dinners, right? To warm them up. We were outside swimming. We had slip and slides. We were sliding down hills. We did not want to come inside. If we did, we would barely eat. In fact, you see most Australian Christmases, there's a lot of fruit. It's like the middle of our, I think summer solstice is like right at that time. It's the middle of our summer. We've got, sometimes there's bushfires, but but we have a lot of salads. There's never a huge amount of meat. Most of it would be cold meat, if any. And I was never a huge meat person anyway. But even on Christmas Day, I'd be like, I'd have a chocolate, have a half a croissant, and maybe some salad growing up. So it's not. It's very different for me. It's very easy Christmas to make these treats, but to bring to fruit, like because it's so hot, like, and it's mango season. People
Oh,
bought
wow.
cherries, big watermelons are sliced on the table. It's completely different, like
Oh,
to what.
oh, by the way, I found the Australian mango at Costco just a few days ago. That was the first time I ever saw a mango from Australia.
Did you
So I'm
like it?
yeah, I'm just waiting for it to much, I think it's still hard. So I want to wait until the best timing for that mango. So I'm really excited. Yeah, because it's usually from Mexico or was it Palestinian mango? Yeah. So.
Um, so I want to comment on Koala Mama's comment in a second, but with the Australian mangoes, I've tried mangoes places like Hawaii, um, different ones in Bali, and also we went out to the markets where there was all the, I think, Thai mangoes are in season recently. I did like
Mhm.
a fruit tour. I still can't beat Australian mangoes. Like I think
Really?
oh my God, Australian mangoes. And I like them this time of the year. So by the time, like after Christmas, so into January, February, they ripen so quickly. And I've worked out with me. I know I've tried to do a lot of sweet fruit, but I work best with tang in my fruit. It's just I
Mm.
think I don't have a stomach. Maybe it's just blood sugar thing. But I like sweet fruit, but with a bit of a tang. And I find like you get the mango pieces a bit firmer. They will go more sloppy and like very sweet.
Mm. Mhm.
And even when I have persimmons, I don't like them completely soft. I like them
Mhm.
squishy, but still a bit firm. So it's about learning, what works for you and your body. But yeah, I
Yeah.
hope you enjoy the mango.
Oh, the best mango for me and my husband is a Miyazaki mango from Okinawa, no, south of Japan. It is the best. I also have tried Indian mango, like
Yeah, I've
Korean
tried that.
mango and all that. But yeah, I'll let you know how I like the Australian mango.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder also how much of that is there is something sacred I should share is when mango season, I've always loved mangoes from when I was younger. When the mango season starts, even before I was a raw vegan, every bite I would have would bring on, and this is what people have to remember, the feeling just from the smell and the taste would bring on the
Mhm.
feeling of Christmas and summer and fun. And I just want to say off the back, because I loved psychology. I studied psychology
Mm.
Never finished, but I loved it. And it would always remind me when I had been sick for like 15 years, and a lot of the time I didn't even open my clothes drawers anymore to get clothes out. Like someone would get them out, or they'd just be beside my bed and I'd put them on to go to a doctor, right? Is if I was well enough to open my drawer to, might sound like I'm jumping here, but stay with me, to get some clothes out. And you, seeing the clothes would just remind me of the process of getting sick. Like it's that the mind, not so much the smell in that situation, but the mind's ability to have PTSD in a good way, like a mango way, or a bad way. It just, I would always think back when I described to people why I'd sometimes even get too triggered to even open my cupboard anymore, because just being in the presence of
Mm.
seeing something which I had seen for so many years sick just kept re-triggering
Mm.
me. And it's kind of a huge PTSD for me was because I'd been in, if you've been in hospital, you'll know that beep, 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 beep. When you've got usually you've got an infusion line going, you've also got your blood pressure and oxygen being measured, and there's like this certain beep. And I've spent so much time in hospitals. And when you go through a shopping center and they'd go beep, 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 I would get, that was my worst
Wow.
PTSD. Or in Australia, when we go to shop, I'm jumping from mangoes across here, but that mango story always reminded me of how I could explain to people what PTSD feels like, because most people's memories are running not so much off just the event. And this is why we struggle so much at Christmas with foods, because we want that mango memory. Like we want to eat
Mm.
pudding, or we want to eat, the turkey that we ate, not because you want to eat a turkey, but so much of that excitement in food
Mm.
is like that mango situation. As I've just gone off there, it can lead to PTSD. But
Yeah.
usually, if the mind is healthy and working, that is where the dopamine comes from, that memory. And that's why I'm so big on recipes, because a lot of what we're craving is not necessarily a bite of Domino's pizza. If you guys have Domino's pizza or whatever,
Mm.
like fast food pizza, it's that it's summer holidays and we've played outdoors with our friends. It's Sunday night, movie night. We're all with our friends and we're going to eat pizza. And we want to re experience that. And that is what is important to remember, that you're kind of craving. And that's
Yeah.
why I work so hard on creating a lifestyle, not a
Mm.
detox program. Because yes, you can detox for a
Yeah.
period, but you cannot do it for life, because you're not experiencing what your previous life, your memories, what you're put on this earth to experience.
Yeah,
So
it's so important. Thank you for mentioning that. A lot of people are going for, especially in January, a lot of people are going detox mode. And yeah, again, everyone's journey is different. Own your journey, honor your journey. But I myself have gone through a lot of detox mode, but it's just very tiring, not just spiritually, but for our body as well. Tiring to go, okay, just a little bit, I can eat this because I can go on a cleanse. And it's just not, yeah, it's not gentle for our body. So,
yeah, I just wanted to bring up this. The way dopamine and memory works is it's also graded. So what we can, like, I went raw and I definitely did not want my old life back. But what people, the mind, this is where the mind tricks us. So none of my Christmases in the past were very pleasant based on how well, how good, how happy I am now. But the brain gradients are dopamine levels based on like a rise, and that you feel happy, right? So it's definitely not as happy as I felt. But, and I'm not even saying Christmas was happy for some people, but there'll be events in your past that usually as you start to heal or go through healing periods where you think you want to relive because you think it felt so good. But it's
mm,
like, it's called an A and B response that continues to kick in the brain. I won't go into it right now, but just say you're sitting around here, which would be quite low vibrationally, or low levels of serotonin and dopamine and overstressed. And it's
mhm,
why people struggle with addiction as well, because the first sips of alcohol give you this dopamine rise that
mm,
sometimes to go through healing, we think we want. we can talk ourselves all the way back. Even though it's lower, the way that the brain has it stored is if you start feeling bad in your life, like just say you are going through a lot of detoxing, the body needs dopamine for movement. It helps the body move. It's like a neurotransmitter that helps the body move, but it's also for motivation. If you start feeling quite low, it will go through its records as to what raised it. Even if it didn't raise it above where you are now, you're probably doing much better where you are right now. A lot of people say when they're eating really fresh and go back to alcohol makes them feel terrible. But the way it's stored is like this jump. And that's where the brain is tricky. And that's where I always I don't try beat. I know and everyone has to work out what works for them. I know my weaknesses. So I can't beat it. So I have to like join in on those patterns. And for me, that's a lot of recipes and making my brain think that it's doing what used to give it dopamine, which is these, I will make, even if I don't eat it on the day and I just do fruits, I will make some treats. I will make more pizzas because I have to work with, I have to work with what I know my brain will do. And I do fall into more addictive tendencies to be fair. But I think that was when you've been really sick, they're just coping. People learn different ways to cope.
Yeah.
So that's my game. I play the game because I can't beat 40 years of programming, but I can look back and go, what did I do? Because I know I want to default to it. And so that's what I think. That's what I do personally.
Yeah, and we need, if you want to stay with this, I don't know, again, everyone's different, but like I needed someone like Koala Mama or you as a close friend for me to stay on a healthy path. Because I was always surrounded by, and this is not to blame anyone, right? They all have their own journey. But like my raw vegan friends, they would have like a cheat days, and they would go for like a very heavily processed vegan restaurants, and that would affect me. And I say, oh, okay, maybe it wouldn't hurt, and yeah, I had to make sure that I stay away from that because that would definitely affect me to go to that negative spiral.
Yeah, because we as animals, monkey see, monkey do. So if you are around, what do they say? They say if you put a non-smoker in a household with 9 other smokers, either all the 9 smokers will quit, but more than likely that one person will start smoking. So when it comes to friends and family, if you keep interjecting yourself consistently, like if all day you're around people, and this is why I say to people when you first go raw is raw food isn't the problem. It tastes good. You have a brain which is still overstimulated and craving that stuff when you first go raw. And then every time you walk outside, every person walking past you, if they're holding food, it's food you can't have. You walk past a rubbish bin, all trash coming out, you're being triggered. You can't have. Every sign, every smell coming out of shops, you can't have. But then you hang around people, if you hang around, they talk about it. And a lot of their problems will revolve because of foods. And, I'm hungover or I need a coffee or, and so, yeah, that's something. But like when I first went raw, I was sick of, I think being at rock bottom was very different, not being around anybody, not being connected to many things. So I wasn't swayed. My dissociation helped me in this way. If you're dissociated, it's the time to go raw because you don't connect. Like now I connect much more and I get in conversations in my head. Do I want this in my life? Because I'm part of something. When you're disconnected, it is for the perfect time. I should have people disconnected starting their raw food journey, and I've gone off.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
also for me, it's very important how I feel. So, like cutting certain relationship would not only help me but other people. Like I don't want to feel resentful for others. Like if I try to stretch myself, I tend to feel, oh, I've done so much for this person, and that kind of feeling. I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel generous all the time. That it's just healthy, not just for me but others. Cutting the certain relationship, it helps, because I had some friends who had the same, similar diet, but they tend to go. They were happy complaining, and I get I feel very uncomfortable when
Yeah.
people complain and complain. And I'm not saying that when they were having hard time, I would like to help. And I tend to help a little too much, that I go into that misery with them.
Mm,
And then I'm not okay with it, but they're okay being in misery. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain people, they're happy being in a misery. And I'm not trying to put down on them. It's just, we are just different people. I'm just very sensitive when people complain and complain and not having something to change. Like, if I complain, I make sure that I work on myself, that I change my reality, and that
yeah.
progress is very important. And if I don't see that in my friends, it's just much better for both of us to cut that line.
Because it's a learned behavior, right? So you eat crap and you feel like crap, and then crap starts to happen in your life. So something event happens. The first thing you want to do is pick up the phone. Your brain's learned all these steps to get dopamine from there. And to some extent, it's self-sabotage to get rises of dopamine. So that up and down is all the brain's really known. It's never known consistent rising, a bit of drop, consistent rising. So like you feel like crap, right? So you're like, right, Friday night, wine with the girls, we're going to bitch this out, and that is something you've learned is going to make you feel better. And the more they agree with you, the better you feel, right? So you've learned that you want to pull everybody in, and then the next day it's like, it's so in such a bad time, I deserve this croissant, like this is going to make me feel, and it's this whole like, I need to pull like these high amounts of dopamine from things, so when life starts to plateau again, it seeks out subconsciously a sabotage so you can pull in all these dopamine things again. And that's what you're working with when you go raw. Because if you don't feel good, your brain goes back to, oh my God, what made me feel good? But the other thing I saw, and that is why it's different when I started my health journey, it's all my responsibility.
Mhm.
Nothing to do with anybody else. It's, the world didn't do this to me. I chose this. And when I decided to make it my choice, I realized I could choose my future. And that opened up my entire reality. But and I just think that's really important. I think it's
Yeah.
doing it for yourself.
Yeah, it's so powerful to understand that you have all power to change. When you stay in victimhood, it seems easy right away. It's like, oh, don't worry, you were raised this way. Your parents were,
Yeah,
horrific.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Family
This was
was
all done to
wrong.
you, and you start to
Yeah,
feel a bit better.
right. So yeah, take that croissant. You
Yeah,
deserve it. You
yeah,
take that wine. You would feel good. You deserve it, Kiko. And and it's no one's fault. I have made my own decision on every step of the way to be who I am. And when you get that way, it's just so easy. Once you get it, once
yeah.
you once you feel accountable and responsible for your own action, it's life is so beautiful. It's just easy that way.
Yeah, I saw somebody else say, I think I can't think of his name right now. He cured cancer with like juices, and he's plant-based. I can't think of his name, but he put on his I'm sure it was him, put on his story is, when you've worked this hard on yourself, you have no problem in saying no to people, not coming, not doing, because you've showed up at the gym, at the walks, at the juice, at the juicing. You've got yourself to this like amazing state, and then imagine going there, and that's about me saying, be so real with yourself. Like,
Mm.
how long can you stay at Christmas Day? Is Christmas Day for you this year? Um, because to undo all that work when it's just you, it's like, it reminds me of that ad that used to be for Nike, where it was like, just do it, where I don't know, it was something about, it's just you in the morning, it's just you running, it's always just you. And when you realize that, you're going to start making better decisions for the you, because you
Mhm.
have to feel you all the time. I think
Um,
when we're feeling like crap, we think we need people because it relieves a bit of stress. As I said, if we say our problems to people, most of the time they're like, "Oh, I'll get you a croissant. Let's go out." It's like they're celebrating you for feeling like crap. Whereas changing the ball game into making decisions, how do I actually feel with this in my body? And taking that to wherever you're going, deciding how long you're going to stay. I think
mm,
that's like I this time of the year I have been sick. 2 years ago I got shingles. This time last year I got all my mast cell starting to flare up. I'm starting to wonder if it's like, I don't know what it is. I kind of think we have really ingrained patterns. They actually, when I study psychology, many people with mental health illnesses will check themselves into the hospital without knowing on the same date every year for like 18 years. Like
mm,
once a year to have a breakdown. I believe things can be very ingrained. Anyway, I was vomiting all the night before Christmas, and I got up in the morning with half-made raw food, and I just got on the phone to Mum. I was like upset, and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't be this run down,
mm,
believing in raw food, not feeling great, sitting around people celebrating, not doing what I'm doing. So I missed Christmas last year, not because I'm a bad person, because I picked the option which was best for me. And I will
mm,
do that every Christmas. If I have to leave and will walk home or pay for an Uber because they're probably at my sister's house, I will do it. It's not worth me losing myself over. Like, to me, this is where I'm at. If I ate cooked food, where the promise I've made to myself right now is it's as good as saying it's okay to be sick. That may change if I get healthier, but that's where I'm at. And I will not go there. I will not even entertain the idea. That's not even a place I'm allowing myself to be. So if something becomes like that for you, I'm just going to say that the less of two evils is for you not to go for a short period or to have breaks. So it's okay if you need to sit outdoors, grounding so good for like half an hour to reset, recalibrate, and then
mm,
face what you're going through. That, I think, is like before you even decide how you're going to face the holidays, is a really good practice. Like, what are your limits?
mhm. And so, what are you doing this holiday, Sky?
So it should be Christmas Day would be at my sister's, and she
Mhm,
usually does her thing. I have found I like to bring, and on my website is this recipe. I've done reels for it. I put it out every Christmas. I made like a stuffing recipe, and I
mm,
break the stuffing up and I put it through a salad. And that salad has, I think there's a recipe there for it. It's a mango capsicum dressing, but you can do any dressing. But it has like all veggies. It doesn't even have nuts or seeds in the recipe because this was before I did nuts and seeds. It's mostly like veggies or culinary fruits like zucchini, carrot, cauliflower, rosemary, garlic, onion, and then I
mm,
put in the dehydrator and crumble it, and it's like I'm eating stuffing.
mm,
Which essentially, as a child, I think I pretty much had stuffing on a bread roll anyway. I just was never a big meat person, or on Christmas Day ate much. So I usually do that on Christmas Day. But I usually you started the first few years making these big salads. Oh, everyone will want to eat it. On Christmas Day, no one will eat your food. It's not the time to try, because they've like everyone in their mind there's so many things. Like that's what I've learned. Maybe they'll have a bite, but they won't have a plate full, is what I've learned. They're saving any room they have for this excessive amount of food. So that's what I do on the holidays.
mm.
I'm actually, the only other thing I have coming up, very excited. Next week, I go to with my niece and my sister to Lady Gaga concert.
Really? Oh,
Yes,
that's
I'm so excited. So I'm like, I don't usually eat at night, but I've already pre-planned that it's not a big deal anymore. When I first started doing something like this, I would have a bag of fruit and food and dips
mhm.
and nuts and seeds. Now I'll probably just take a bit of extra fruit or a juice to have on if you can take liquids in, to have while I'm in there. But they're kind of like the only two
Oh,
things.
that's so exciting. Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm not seeing any of the messages. So
oh, sorry. Okay. So I'll bring some up.
Koala Mama, I see that she's
Yeah,
commenting.
yeah, yeah. So she's been saying, she went back to old habits she did before she went back to school, and everyone was smoking and drinking and eating whatever. But I think I have a stronger sense of self now. I did go.
Oh.
I think that happens too. I believe it's shadow work. It's called shadow work. I actually, because I actually lost part of my memory. I haven't gone back to cooked foods or smoking or drinking, but starting to feel those things come back for me has been part of me recalibrating parts of myself, which I've so like for me that was the shadow work, but that's what comes with the shadow work, right? You get strong.
Mm. Wow, I would have never imagined koala mama, smoking and drinking and eating whatever. But yeah.
um She said, "Yes, listen to me. I hear myself voicing a complaint. I notice it. I think about it. I address it." I think that's the thing that never in my life until I became a raw foodist ever happened. Like, I literally think most things in my life I could classify away in victimhood and not be conscious of it. Like, the society that we're in is very nurturing to that everything is done to you, not as a lesson that you can learn from. Also, I think with raw foods, you feel so strong and in a clear mind and confident about being able to address these things. Whereas I think a lot of people have to stay in victimhood because they don't know how to get out.
Mm. Yeah, they have the yeah. Yeah, again, I think each person's journey is so different. Like my friend Hugo, who helped me, or who was the one to introduce me about raw vegan diet. He's very strong. Like he's very solitary person. Like I'm a very social person, and I really enjoy connecting with people. And it was very hard for me to, you know, cut certain relationship to stick with the raw vegan diet. With Hugo, he's completely okay. Like he's no he yeah, he doesn't get affected by what other people eat. He's just very content eating whatever, raw vegan diet he has. I get triggered when people eat foods that I used to eat, and I have to be very mindful to be surrounded by people like Sky and Koala Mama, and that's why this online community is fantastic. And I'm really grateful for you, Sky. Raw party. I get to participate two different kind of party, U.S. party and Europe party and women's club, and it's just so important for me to have this connection. Otherwise, even me, on this diet that I know that I could go on a negative spiral, it's very easy for me to go on this, to eat on, like vegan snacks or vegan junk food if I'm surrounded by those people. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, with what's come up for me recently, um, not that I've gone back to it, but like trying coffee again, for example, has been really important for me to learn how far away that is from who I am. And back to that, how the brain is like, you're having a bad day, you're tired. I'd stopped exercising, my toe was broken. I'm like, how bad could a oat milk latte be? Because it used to make me feel better. And that's where you realize the brain has stored that as something back then that makes you feel better. But I'm very grateful for the experience because it made me so sick. It's like
Mhm.
it helps me key my past together. Like, this is another thing that made me feel so sick. Like, it helps. So I think, like, if we do go back, don't be too hard. It's about, usually if you're clean enough, you can't stay there. Like, you
Mhm.
can't stay, you could get into a bit of a battle with yourself for a few months, but once you know how good you can actually feel. In fact, I don't know anybody who's done an extended, like, raw foods, or I guess there is some people who have changed over. I don't know how they were eating, but I think once you know, like, how different you feel with fresh food is completely different.
Yeah, but it's Koala Mama's comments. I love it. It's really well said. That I have also gone through, this mentality. Oh, it's okay. One time, two time. I know how to fix this problem, and I became overconfident, I think. And it's just usually it's not one time, two time for me. It just goes many times after.
Yeah, and we can do a topic talk on this because this is something which I feel, um, even to some extent, I was even trapped there. Is not that I was eating bad, but every time I started to feel a symptom, it was bad. I'm like, I'll just juice. And it's like comes from that mentality where most of the time growing up, we used to eat badly and be like, it's okay, Monday, I'll start the diet. Or it's okay, like no matter what lifestyle we were doing, we always knew we could do better. And we justify trashing ourselves because now the next week we won't drink, or now we'll just, so. But that's the end of the podcast today, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. JJ, Koala Mama. I think I saw Barbara up there.
Thanks
For
for
joining everyone else.
Yeah. So enjoy your holidays. We're here, and feel free to connect with us. And this is what I do when I didn't have any raw friends. I would just connect to people on just listen to YouTube and shower myself with people online who eat just like me.
Yes, and this is why we're grateful for social media, that we have whole family out there, whole raw family. All right, guys. Love you guys. And we've got the book club this week. So, and I haven't posted the other podcasts which are coming up, but there's more podcasts, and we'll be back next week.
Yay!
Bye.
See you soon. Bye. Thank you.